What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Today we are going to go through step by step of how we installed our quad row switchback wheel lights. I bought these off of Southern Lumen about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's been a long process trying to get them put in because we've just been running into issues after issues. And for me, I want to be able to explain that to you guys and how we did it and how we overcame it and how we now have them on our 22 Trail Boss and how amazing they actually look. So let's just cut to the chase and get to it. If you're wanting to know more about the wiring process from beginning to end, please skip further in this video to where we are actually talking about it. If you're not wanting to talk about or listen to how we installed them on a dust shield, or maybe you have some experience in that area but not the wiring, go ahead and skip further into the video and we will go ahead and cover that for you. But with no further ado, let's get into it. So just for clarification here, there are the quad row switchback wheel lights from Southern Lumen. They are already on for proof. But anyways, I'm going to jump into how we got that installed. A lot of videos on YouTube is showing piece by piece somewhat of how to install these. Other ones are not showing the full, like I said, the wiring diagrams or how these are actually installed. A lot of them are like, hey, just pull your wheel and tire off and slap them on, you're good to go. That is actually false. That is part of the process, but that's one of 5. So we're gonna walk through every step on how we did this this setup right here. So let's just jump into it. So here's where the first issue occurred. So we popped the wheel and tire off, right, to get the wheel lights put on. Now, here is where we ran into the very first problem. The wheel lights are 17.5s. I looked it up on the chart for the 22 Trail Boss, and it showed that it was only supposed to have a 15.5. Now, how did I make 17.5s work on a 15.5 dust shield? This is what happened. So on the back end of these wheel lights, let me see if I can get down here and show you guys what exactly I'm talking about. So these brackets here, right? So the diameter of this right here is 17.5, right? These brackets that are right here are actually 3 1/4 inch long. So if you do 3 1/4 inch long, that diameter from right here all the way on the inner circle is 15.5. This right here is 17.5, if that makes sense. So that was our first issue, trying to get that all squared away, and then we decided to pull the dust shield completely off. A lot of people are showing that they are just taking the wheel and tire off and then just drilling holes and putting the wheel light on and not having to take dust shield off. That is true to a certain extent. This is the other problem that we were having. The brake calipers. The brake calipers, in order to get the wheel lights installed, unless you take the bracket off and you want to go the hard route, we took the brakes completely off. So if you take the brakes off, you can get to the dust shield, take the dust shield off, lay it on the ground, put your wheel light on it, draw out your hose, tap it, whatever you want to do, mount it to that. Now, this is where it gets tricky a little bit. When we put it back on, we put the dust shield on, but did not bolt it down. You put it on the back side of the brake, as we see right here. There is the brake and then the wheel light. The wheel light goes on the very, very back, right? So we had to lay the wheel light down on the dust shield, on the axle, of course, put the brakes on, then mount the wheel light, then put your wheel and tire on. So it's a backwards process on how you pulled it off. You took the wheel and tire off, you took the brakes off, then you went to the dust shield. Now you gotta start from dust shield, pause that, go to the brakes, remount the dust shield, then put the wheel and tire on. And that's how we did it. Very simple, all the way down to the last nut and bolt system on how we actually installed these. A lot of people are saying, oh, just pull the wheel and tire off. Here's your dust shield, start drilling some holes, you're good to go, and put it all back on. Hey, look, my lights work. Yeah, that's a quarter of what the issue is going to be. So I'm trying to give you guys more information step by step on how we did it. Now, the reason I did not show the process as in like in the moment that we were doing it is because, one, I was not allowed to do it at the shop. They are not big fans of me actually taking videos on how the processes work for their reasons only, but I wanted to at least show you. So on the back side of that, I wanted to go ahead and just show you guys what was going on after the fact to make sure I'm giving you guys the honest truth on how these are installed. As you see, they are on, so you know it's completed correctly. Now here we get into the wiring, and this right here is where we had the biggest problem yet. So buckle your seatbelt, let's get into it. So if we go ahead and pop the hood, right? we see all this wiring mess, and I'm going to explain that to you right now. So obviously when you put the wheel lights on the front and back, I actually, on the driver's side back, I was actually shortened 7 feet of extension. These are 3-pin male and female extension cables. You can find those on Amazon. I would get clarification on that before you order them, that they come with extension cables, because mine did not. So that took an extra week for me to get that part in, just because it didn't come with the package. They said that it would be able to reach, it was a 10-foot extension that they already had on it, but no extra extension, because that is 10 feet to right about here. You got to go across to the other side and up into your engine bay. That's how I did it. A lot of people would probably beg to differ on that, but that's literally the system I did. So all of my wheel lights are coming right here to this point, right here. They're all buckled in right here. Then it goes right behind that frame and up into my engine bay, which would put it right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this cover for purposes here to kind of show you a more in-depth example of what the heck happened. So what I decided to do, we couldn't figure out the turn signals, right? These are switchback wheel lights. Let me explain this before I get into this. Switchback wheel lights, for people that do not know, are wheel lights that actually operate with your turn signals, front and your rear view mirrors, excuse me. So that was the problem. So you got 4 wires. You have a red, which goes on your red terminal, your black that goes on the black terminal. Then you also have right here a white and a blue. Now, one of those is actually going to be for the left turn signal, and one's going to be for the right turn signal. So this is what you do. So red goes on red, black goes on black. Easy. Everybody good? Following? Okay, sweet. So this is where I had the problem. Where is my right and left turn signal? That's where the problem is. So I looked it up in the manual and tried to figure out where it's at. We found it, we located it, and got it wired in. Now, I'm not going to show this because of the fact of some vehicles may be different. Just like my fuses here, if we pull this cover off, my fuses are minis. A lot of other Silverados don't have the mini fuses, they have the bigger fuses. So if I told you, hey, I went out and got these mini fuses and put them in, here we go, then you guys may go out and buy them and not really, you know, I'm giving you the wrong information. So you have to use a fuse that also gets connected to your headlights, which are right here. Instead of splicing into here, I decided to go through the fuse box. Now, this is where step number 2 comes in in the wiring process. So none of the wheel lights were labeled. You don't know what a front is and you don't know what a back is. All the wires were the same length, no matter what side of the vehicle it was on, right? So what I decided to do is take duct tape, and I labeled which one it was. What I did is I decided to take one of these, right? Had the red and black on the battery, plug this into the wheel light wire coming from the wheel up to the engine bay, and plug it in and see which one reacts to it. Whatever one reacted to it, I labeled it, as you see, left. This one here is left, and this one here is right. So now you know what side is what. Left side of the vehicle facing, so this right here would be the left side, that would be the right side, correct? So that's how I labeled it. Now we know what wheel lights are where and what they're doing, correct? Awesome, sweet. So what we decided to do here is on the red cable, which is your hot, this is where the power is coming in at. You got a built-in fuse here. We decided to go ahead and put a relay in. Now this relay, the purpose is for this is that instead of using a remote control to shut the lights on and off, we put the relay in and the relay to the fuse box. So when you turn your vehicle off, the wheel lights shut off. Because of the fact we had another issue where I turned it off with the remote control and somehow it drained my battery and I had a dead battery. So that didn't help absolutely nothing. It just made life a lot more worse, if that is even a good sentence to use. Anyways, so moving back. So we decided to put a relay in, that relay into the fuse box, find an open fuse that actually works with the starter system, and then that will obviously work there. But anyway, so we bought one of these. Thankfully, my buddy already had one of these, so we didn't have to do it, but we had to buy an add along fuse, which is basically going to connect to the blue wire right here that has a tape on it. It's going to connect here and then run it to my fuse box. So that way, when I turn the vehicle on at night, when my headlights turn on, wheel lights would turn on. When I shut the vehicle off, they would shut off. Or if I want to use the remote, I can do that way too. But basically what it does, it saves your battery from getting dead, because I'm telling you, that was a pain to get recharged once again. So that is the full wiring diagram. Now this right here, I don't know if that's a really good mounting place or not. My buddy mounted it there. It looks pretty good. All the wires look pretty tight, pretty good. I got it zip tied from here all the way back to each wheel to make it look clean. So that's that. Now I wanted to show one more thing before we're done here on something that you guys may not think of when you're installing this at home or at a shop or whatever, but please consider this next step. So here's the thing, let's take a look at this real quick. So when you get the wheel light installed, you want the wiring on the top, obviously, right? And you want a little bit of slack to be within the wire here. The reason for it is that if you do not have slack, if you were to drop into a pothole or something, that tire is going to drop lower than the body of the vehicle. Now, if you have that wire tight on there, fastened to your support bar that goes up to your upper control arms, then when your tire drops, like say you went into a ditch or something, and it's fully flexed outside, I mean, over or under whatever the vehicle, then that wire is going to be pulling tension on that wheel light, and it's going to cause a slack in it, and it's going to probably cause a short, to be honest with you. So you want to make sure you have extra slack. Like I do here, this cable here is very loose, right here, very loose. So you want that, you want it to hold it up, keep it out of the way of the tire, so nothing's getting involved of your turns and stuff, but you want it loose enough to, if you were to drop into a ditch or drop off of a freaking sidewalk or something like that, you're not breaking your cable, your wires for your wheel lights. So you want to think of all of these steps. The reason for it is that you just don't want to be driving down the road, like I said, drop off of a sidewalk or a curb or something like that, and you stretch your wires for your wheel lights, and then now a wheel light don't work, and you got to start this process all over again, and it's a pain in the neck. But yeah, hopefully this video is short, it's helpful. I didn't want to go too long with it, but I did want to show you guys the full process on how the wiring is set up. It's pretty simple and explanatory, but like I said, with the lack of not having the extension that I needed, took an extra week, and then the bull crap of the wires not being labeled, and then the relay I'm having to put in, and then the whole deal with the turn signals, and then the instructions did not give me enough instructions on how to mount these. It was just a pain in the neck. So a project that should have taken a day to do turned into 4 weeks. So you definitely don't want that. But like I said, if you guys need help with the wiring, this is a full process right here. So like I said before, just be mindful of when you go to install, make sure a few days before you actually get it installed that you have everything that you need for the install. Extra extension cables, make sure you have read and understood the wiring diagram and looked up information about that before you get into it. Switchback wheel lights are one of, I will say, the hardest installs. The reason for it is that you're adding in turn signals, you're adding in relays and stuff like that. All of the relays and the fuses and stuff extra that I showed you that we had to do did not come in a package. It did not come from Southern Lumen. We had to do it ourselves. So basically all of their job is you got a hot, you got a ground, and you got a remote, and that's it. But they don't help you out in any other way to make it work with your starter. So when you turn the vehicle on or off, the wheel lights work within that system. So that's basically what you have to do. So it's extra work. People don't tell you this stuff. They just tell you how they wired it, and then, oh, look at my truck, it looks great. But they don't show you the problems and issues and struggles they had to go through in order for it to get it to work. So it makes you more grateful and thankful for the install once it is done, but it's a lot more money spent than what it had to be if they had have given you all the accessories that you did need from the beginning. It would have helped out a lot more. So just be aware of that. Truck builds are very complicated and they are tough at times, but at the end of the day, you just gotta be thankful and smile, because guess what? People don't have builds like this.